Gossips, trending, viral content, celebrity lifestyle. Welcome to Miracle Jameson. On Saturday, November 12th, 2023, will make it 3 months since we lost Mohbad. I know a lot of you missed me, and I'm really sorry on taking this long break, but I really needed some time off to face school and the fact that we hadn't even heard anything from Mohbad's wife, not until the 7th of November, where she appeared in court alongside Mohbad's mother, Mohbad's father, and of course Mohbad's son Liam. In this court hearing, we finally got to hear what Wunmi had to say concerning the whole thing. Like, Wunmi finally revealed all what she knows and what actually happened, as against what Mohbad's father had said in the last court hearing. I'm going to be doing a little recap of what the father said in the last court hearing, and also comparing it with what Wunmi said, as well as Primeboy's confession to the police. But right now, the question on my mind is, when would they allow Mohbad rest? I know justice has not been gotten yet, because just recently the court granted NairaMarley and Larry bail, so that is something I will also talk about in this video. But I feel like this is already almost like 3 months. On Saturday will make it 3 months since the boy passed away, and he's still in the mortuary, and they are yet to like even make plans for his second burial. We just saw Iyabo Ojo trying to get the casket and all of that, but till that time we haven't heard nothing about this boy's autopsy. And this is why people are angry with the Nigerian police. This is why people are really getting angry. I mean, what are they waiting for at this point? Like, NairaMarley and Larry has gotten off the hook. Wunmi, Mohbad's family are also going to court, and many Nigerians are actually wanting to know the end of this case, and the Nigerian police are just stalling the time. I really don't know why they're stalling the time like this. I don't know if it's to make the whole issue die down before they bring out the autopsy, but the boy actually needs to rest. I'm not even all about the autopsy anymore. Yes, I would love to know what they found out, but if they're going to delay this boy, like delay his resting process, like the reason the father and everyone agreed for them to like exhume Mohbad was because we all felt like the Nigerian police were going to take actions swiftly, but it seems like they're derailing from that part, and this is where I'm actually getting angry. It's been already 2 months since they promised they were going to release this autopsy in 2 weeks, and here we are, November 9, 2023, and there's still no update on that. Even Very Dark Man that was screaming about the DNA tests have seemed to have gone quiet over this case. Well, that's a talk for another day. Let's get right into what Wunmi had to say in court. I'm going to be breaking this down for you guys, so you guys get all the details you need to know about the Mohbad case so far. So according to what Wunmi said, she said Mohbad's dad prayed for her to conceive Liam. She said they were so close to the extent that Mohbad's dad used to bring his girlfriend to their rented apartment in Lekki, and she never raised eyebrows because according to her, it's his son's house. Mohbad's father girlfriend was said to be different from Mohbad's stepmother at home, so Mohbad's house was their meeting point. Wunmi said that the problem started when she gave birth to Liam. She said Liam's placenta was what caused their indifference. Wunmi and Mohbad refused to hand over Liam's placenta to Daddy Mohbad, which caused a lot of arguments, and ever since then it was from one issue to another. According to Wunmi in court, it was originally Mohbad's decision not to hand over the placenta to the dad. She, as the wife, just supported the opinion. She also made mention of the allegation from Mohbad's dad of seeing blood-soaked buckets in Mohbad's room. She said all of that was a lie, and Mohbad's brother, who stays with them, can testify to it that the cut was just a little cut and what was soaked up was water. She narrated how Mohbad got to the Ikorodu show, how Mohbad sustained injury after fighting with Primeboy, how she has been receiving threats since her husband passed, how people defamed her on social media over what she didn't do, how Mohbad Canada visa was approved a day before he passed, and how she had to run out of her husband's house after his death because of all the threats she was getting from social media users. So Wunmi then gave a full detail on what happened between Mohbad and Primeboy that night at the Ikorodu show. Wunmi said she followed Mohbad to the Ikorodu show with their son Liam. Primeboy was also in the same car with them. She said we got there at about 7 p.m. and Mohbad performed at 9 p.m. I sat in the car with Liam. When Mohbad finished his performance, he wanted to enter the car when his fans surrounded him and started screaming his name. He brought out 100,000 naira and gave them. Still, the fans did not let him be, so he told someone to call a bouncer to disperse them. Before the bouncer came, he entered the car with Primeboy. I sat down in their middle. When the fans were still complaining they wanted more money, Mohbad sent his younger brother to go break down some cash so he could give them, but it took so long before he came back. This made Primeboy furious and he scolded Mohbad's brother, and that one insulted him back. Primeboy now turned to Mohbad and said, "Your brother is insulting me in your presence and you're not saying anything. I can never allow my own younger brother to insult you." This led to a big argument between Primeboy and Mohbad. Along the line, Primeboy said, "Mohbad, shut up." That statement infiltrated Mohbad. He came out of the car, went to Primeboy's side and opened the door. When Mohbad got out of the car, I also got down to call the other guys that followed us, who were in the second Prado, so they could settle the fight that was going on between Mohbad and Primeboy. By the time I got back, I saw some crowd already trying to intervene between them, and I saw a wound on his hand. So she continued and said, after the incident at the show, we went home. When we got home, I was mad at Mohbad over how he behaved at the show, so I went to my room. Mohbad came to my room to beg me, and he explained that he didn't like how Primeboy talked at him. We settled and I asked him if the hand was not hurting him too much, and he showed me the wound, which was just like a scratch. I applied rub on it. After this, we had a little fight, which was like an argument. Mohbad asked me about the update on me and Liam's passport, and I told him that the person processing the passport has not finished it. He got so mad and started blaming me for the delay. The following day, his hand had become so swollen, so we decided to call a nurse. Mohbad's personal nurse was not available, so Aloba, who was Mohbad's friend, decided to call his own nurse, Mrs. Sayo Ogidengbe. When Feyi came, she first checked his temperature and she examined the hand. As she was treating him, I was on and off the scene because I was cooking in the kitchen. I was there when she gave the first injection, but when she gave the second injection, I was in the kitchen. After some minutes, Mohbad told the nurse to remove the drip she put on him because he wasn't feeling good. He ran to the bathroom and we poured water on him. Then he started vomiting. His mechanic was outside repairing his car. I quickly rushed to the mechanic outside to ask him if we could use the car to take Mohbad to the hospital. The mechanic said the car was not fit to go out. I started screaming for help outside. Then someone offered to take him to the hospital. Then when she was asked why they didn't take Mohbad to the hospital, she started saying that the reason why we didn't take Mohbad to the hospital earlier was because he had a phobia for hospitals. Ever since the NDLEA issue happened that they gave him water, which landed him in the hospital, he was so scared of the hospital to the extent that when my delivery date was due, he was persuading me to deliver at home, all because he didn't want to enter the hospital. When Mohbad started vomiting and becoming weak, I screamed for help, someone offered to drive us to the hospital. As we were on our way to the hospital, it was me, Mohbad's cameraman, and one other guy that were in the vehicle with the driver. We sat at the back with Mohbad, making efforts to save his life. The driver stretched his hand to the back and held Mohbad's hand. Then he told us that the hand was very cold. By then, we had entered into traffic. We had to stop a bike. One of the guys was with Mohbad in the bike, while I took another bike and was following them. We got to the hospital and rushed him in. The doctor and nurses attended to him immediately. After about 15 minutes, the doctor came out and told us Mohbad was dead. I was like, what do you mean by dead? Is that how people die? Someone that was still gisting with me some hours ago. What could have really led to his death? I didn't believe the doctor. By then, I already called Mohbad's cousin, who was in Ajah, to come over. He got to the hospital after 20 minutes. Then we rushed Mohbad to another hospital and they confirmed he was already gone. Then she continued and said after the doctor had declared Mohbad had passed at the second hospital, I didn't call his dad, but I called his mom and his auntie in Shango. I guess it was the mom that called his dad. Mohbad's dad and I are not in good terms. We used to be extremely close, that we were eating in the same plate. He was my friend and confidant. The first issue started when I gave birth to Liam and he requested for the placenta. I was wondering what he wanted to do with it, so I told Mohbad and Mohbad said no. She said that was when the dad started giving her attitude, and when she talked about the whole dad bringing the girlfriend to the house. Wunmi also talked about how Mohbad's mom would often visit them. She said suddenly the dad entered with his girlfriend. He was shocked to see Mohbad's mom there. It became a big issue that day because Mohbad's mom got angry that why would daddy bring a woman to sleep over in our matrimonial home. We tried to settle it between them. Mohbad's mom had to vacate the room we gave her so that daddy and his girlfriend could sleep there. She went to sleep downstairs. Mohbad's dad thought I was the one that deliberately set him up that day, which wasn't true. Because nobody knew he was coming, he stopped talking to me since that day. These are the things he has against me. Then she continued and said, after Mohbad left the Marley's record label, NairaMarley and his boys were always bullying him everywhere. Said they had already even ended him before his death. He was always living in fear. When Mohbad was with them, he complained that his manager was always giving his shows out to other artists. Naira refused to promote all the songs Mohbad was releasing, yet he was promoting other artists' songs. Mohbad complained to Naira about this, but Naira still refused to promote his songs. He became depressed because of this. He told Naira that he was just burying his talent and that why were his own songs not being promoted by the label. This really affected Mohbad a lot and he had an emotional trauma. This was the major reason why he left the label. When he left the label, he had 0 naira in his bank account. Things were so tough and rough for us. It was Bella's mother that fed and housed us. We had nothing if not for Bella that came to our rescue. Then when the court asked about the CCTV that was not connected in Mohbad's apartment, she said we just moved to the new apartment in Lekki few months ago, but it was never connected. When Mohbad passed and the dad came, he made arrangement on how Mohbad would be taken to the mortuary without telling me. I got to know from an outsider. I went to his dad and I told him not to bury my husband yet, but he didn't listen to me. The mortuary refused to take Mohbad from them and I didn't know where he took it. The second day I was in the house when someone said, do you know they're about to bury Mohbad? I was shocked. Then I went on social media and I saw how they were already preparing to bury him on his land. If not for the social media, I would have not known where they buried him. I dressed up immediately and was about to go to the burial site when my mom's sister told me there's something called protection cloth. She said when someone dies, she said it is to protect the dead. She gave me the cloth and we cut a small portion of it. That was the cloth I threw inside his grave and I used the remaining cloth to cover myself at night when I wanted to sleep. Wunmi said Mohbad's life changed the day the NDLA attacked and arrested him, and he said that they used a gun on his head and that he had a lump come out of that spot. She said he started going blank and forgetting vital things, including his phone passwords, lyrics, and social media password. Many people started calling him a madman, including his former label. So many times he would ask me, am I truly mad? I would tell him he wasn't mad. It was hell for me at that period that I decided to leave him and move on, but his father begged me. I was the one going through that tough period with him alone. Since that day of the NDLEA incident, he was always getting angry easily. Concerning the viral voice note between us, the phone he was referring to in the voice note was my phone. He gave it to me and I deleted what I didn't want on it. So many times he would say things that he would later deny that he never said them. All these are the aftermath of the hit the NDLA carried out on his head. I recorded the voice note myself with my friend's phone as he was speaking that day. Then for her final speech, she said it is true I made a post on Instagram few hours after Mohbad was announced to have passed that they have killed him, that they can now take their trophy. I was referring to his bullies because they had already ended his life even before he passed. He lived all his life in fear. Everyone is saying I didn't talk. How can I put everything I said in court today on the social media? People will still insult me that I am disrespecting my father-in-law. My name has been spoiled all over the social media. They said I ended my own husband's life. Why on earth would I do that? I can now recognize those spoiling my image on social media. Some of them are present in court today. I did not end Mohbad's life. I was also looking for justice for him. Everyone is accusing me wrongly, including my father-in-law. So this case was adjourned till the 15th of November 2023. So before I analyze all Wunmi have said, let's get back into Naira Marley and Sam Larry's bail. So the magistrate court sitting in Yaba, Lagos State, Nigeria, on Monday, the 6th of November 2023, granted singer Azeez Fashola, also known as Naira Marley, and Lagos socialite Balogun Eletu, also known as Sam Larry, in bail in the sum of 20 million naira with 3 responsible duties. As part of the bail conditions, the defendants are to surrender their passports and make weekly appearances at the State Criminal Investigation Department, Olatubosun Road. And according to Mohbad's record label Immortalization, the Malian label actually tried to take Mohbad's audio mark, which he had before he was with them on the same day they took his Instagram, and changed it to Malowa. The Gmail on the first slide is from the Naira Marley manager. Mohbad eventually retrieved his audio mark account back on the second slide. Few weeks after they assaulted him, they hacked his Instagram account. They were able to access the account because they were the ones that verified it for him, and the login details were with them as at then. On the third slide, Naira Marley could not answer the question Mohbad asked him about the streams, and as you can see in this screenshot, Naira Marley said it was just 13,520,000 naira the streams generated for Mohbad. And guys, this is absolute wickedness. So from my own take on Naira Marley and Sam Larry, I feel the main thing here was greed. Naira Marley obviously wanted to keep majority of all this money for himself, and I also heard Mohbad was writing songs for Naira Marley as well. So it's not just Mohbad's song streams, it also has to do with the work and services Mohbad rendered to Naira Marley. And of course, these are the things that actually led to the whole bullying and saga we saw between Mohbad and Naira Marley when Mohbad was still alive. So obviously the court couldn't get any tangible evidence against Naira Marley and Sam Larry to hold them responsible for the passing of Mohbad. I guess that is why they granted him the bail. Now this is where Mohbad friends should come in, like people that actually witness these things. This is where they should drop evidence, but it seems like they didn't drop any of that because Naira Marley was held in police custody up to a month, and that was really a long time for anybody to bring something tangible to like nail these people. But we aren't seeing any of that. Rather, we're seeing saga between Mohbad's father and of course Mohbad's wife Wunmi, kind of like shifting attention from the fact that Mohbad was also bullied. Yes, we understand that Mohbad had passed away due to the fight, but there's still more to this case. I feel like we shouldn't just shift it aside. So before this bail was granted for Naira Marley and Sam Larry and Naira Marley had earlier filed a fundamental rights enforcement suit against the Lagos State Commissioner of Police to demand their release from detention, and they requested 20 million naira each as damages. Naira and Sam Larry said despite the lapse of the detention period, the police had continued to detain and restrict their right to liberty and freedom of movement, thus infringing on their fundamental rights as citizens of Nigeria, especially when there is nothing that shows they had a hand in Mohbad's passing. So this was what actually happened before the whole bill was granted as well, and I think the court were actually punishing the Marley and Sam Larry for demanding 20 million naira by demanding 20 million naira as their bail fine. Well, that is it for the Naira Marley and Sam Larry bill. And as for the House of Reps panel that were concerned on Mohbad's royalties, like the fight to get back Mohbad's royalty, the president of the Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria, PMAN, Mr. Pretty Okafor, said that the association cannot resolve the dispute trailing the payment of royalties between Mohbad and the Malian records because Mohbad was not on the association's membership list. He said they would have settled it between them if he had registered with them when he was alive. He urged new musicians to register with the association because of its numerous benefits, which include resolving contractual issues between musicians and record labels. Mohbad's lawyer also revealed Mohbad and the Malian record had some arrangement which he couldn't term as a record label agreement, yet while he worked with them in some sense, he released an EP and a number of singles. In October last year, he set up his own label, Immolenization Limited, and he released an EP from which he received the revenue directly because he was the sole owner of the company. What we have been trying to retrieve prior to his demise and currently are the EP and singles he made while he was with the label. Those are still being controlled by the Malian records. That is what we have been in court trying to resolve when he was alive up until his demise, and we are still in court for that. As for the update on the nurse, the Lagos State Magistrate Court in Yaba sent the 37-year-old auxiliary nurse Feyisayo Ogenegbe, who injected Mohbad, back to the police custody. Also, the magistrate court ordered that Mohbad's friend Ayobami Sadiq, who called Feyisayo Ogenegbe to come to the house and treat Mohbad, should be returned to police custody. Investigation is still ongoing to unravel the mystery behind Mohbad's passing as the court resumes their sitting on the 15th of November 2023. As for the whole property saga, it was actually confirmed by Mohbad's wife to Iyabo Ojo that Mohbad truly bought a property in his son's name, and she said that the only property that is causing issues is the other property was the land where they buried Mohbad. Like the land where they buried Mohbad is the other land, and he said that Mohbad's dad is in possession of that land already. She said the house they are living now was not owned by Mohbad, that it was rented, and that they moved in there in April this year. So when Wunmi was asked about the allegation of her transferring money from Mohbad's phone, she denied this allegation and said that whenever Mohbad's dad was ready, that they should go to the bank and print out the bank statement to prove that Wunmi never did anything of such. So in this scenario, Wunmi's sister was already speaking on her behalf on that allegation that she was transferring money from Mohbad's phone while he was asleep. So the properties and the allegation and all that was revealed by Iyabo Ojo from an interview she did with Daddy Freeze, where she confirmed she actually spoke to Wunmi herself. So guys, like I promised, let's get back to what Mohbad's father actually said on the last court hearing before the one that took place on the 7th of November 2023. So Mohbad's dad said Mohbad and I lived together for 18 good years. He has never fallen sick. I only took him to a chemist when he was 16 to treat rashes. He left the house at the age of consent and began to assist NairaMarley while embarking on his own career in music. When he started making it, he talked to me about reconciling with his mom, which I did. He was happy and he bought me a car for this. When issues happened between him and Naira, he told me he would handle it. Wunmi was a very unfaithful wife to my son. My son told me that she used to put sleeping pills in noodles for him and she would go and sleep with a signee in another room in the same Malian's house they were living in. I don't trust Wunmi one bit. He told me that all the documents of his landed property were in possession of Wunmi's mother till today. He came to visit me 3 days before he passed. Then the father said concerning his neck that was bent in the casket, say I didn't know about it because I was not at the burial. It was later I saw the pictures. So Mohbad's dad then said when Mohbad left NairaMarley's label, his trouble started because Naira and Sam were constantly bullying and harassing him. At a point, he stopped going to shows for 6 months because he was scared of them. The beatings were too much. There was a particular day he came to visit me and he left. Some minutes after, people rushed to call me that my son had been beaten. I was surprised. I rushed there to know who was doing this to my son. When I got there, I saw NairaMarley and his boys beating him. He said he had so many injuries. He said when they left, he told me that it wasn't their first time and that they did that to him every time. Then he said the day they called him, he rushed to Mohbad's house and he indeed saw Mohbad had passed. Then he said they then told me that his body was laying somewhere in the city room. He then decided to take Mohbad to the mortuary, he said, but they rejected him. So he said that is why he had to bury Mohbad the next day on his land. I mean, this was the same man that they said wanted to bury Mohbad even the same day he had passed. So I highly doubt if there are some truth in what this man is saying. But let's continue. Mohbad's father further revealed that it was when he found out that Wunmi was actually cheating on Mohbad and giving him those pills to make him sleep. He said that was when he decided to take Mohbad away from the Malian's house. He said he took his phone and sent his address and his location to Wunmi. So Mohbad's father here is saying that Mohbad had sent his address and location to Wunmi even despite Mohbad's father's effort to take him out of the Malian's house. Mohbad's father said they continued their love affair as if nothing happened and they got married. One day I was taking them to a prayer program. We were all in the car where my son slept off. Wunmi took Mohbad's phone, pressed it for some minutes and then started shouting, "Daddy, see your son. Can you see what your son is doing? See how he is texting and replying love messages to different ladies." With the way she reacted that day in my presence, I knew she would be making him to go through hell in the house. She's here hearing everything I am saying. She can't deny it. He then said that Wunmi and his son were never legally married. He said they only did traditional marriage. I don't know why she is scared of doing DNA if she doesn't have a skeleton in her cupboard. The DNA is a must. I want it done. So Mohbad's father also talked about the CCTV. He said he was surprised when Wunmi said the CCTV was not working. He said why didn't the police check their neighbor's own and see what really happened on that Tuesday? It will capture those that entered and left the house that day. I was not at Mohbad's burial, but later people showed me the video and I saw Wunmi throwing a white cloth on his coffin. I was confused. I didn't know what that meant, so I went to ask people who have deep knowledge and they told me it means I have clothed you. Don't come and expose me. See how God works. She never knew his body would be actually exhaled. Ever since his body was brought out, so many secrets have been exposed. When Mohbad was alive, I discovered that anytime he made money, he would transfer it to Wunmi's family. I was worried that my son was not investing, so I called Wunmi's dad to express my concerns. He blocked me immediately. I also discovered that if you don't submit to Wunmi, you can never work with Mohbad. She made sure she separated Mohbad from people that didn't submit to her. There are fake reports going around that Obi Kubana gave me 4 million naira. The police should go and check my bank statements and BVN. I love Mohbad so much. He was my best friend and he told me Naira Marley sees all his reality. So guys, lastly, I'm going to talk about what Mohbad mom had to say and kind of analyze the whole talk with what Primeboy said as well when he was interrogated earlier by the police. So Mohbad's mom said she left Mohbad with his dad when Mohbad was 3 years old, that she didn't know he was a musician until she reconnected with him in 2019. She said, when he told me he was singing, I told him immediately that the prophecy I received when he was in my tummy was that he would be a pastor. He didn't say anything. One day he was in the studio when he got a call that the NDLEA raided Naira Marley's house. He rushed to Naira's house because Wunmi and his younger brother were living there. On getting there, he discovered they took Zinoliski and others away. He went to the NDLEA's office and asked why they took his friends away. They entered into a serious argument and he became thirsty. He asked one of the officials for water and they gave him. He said immediately he drank it, his body system became destabilized and never felt okay since then. After he left Naira's label, he stopped going to shows because of the bullying from Naira and Sam Larry. He told me there was a show Naira forced him to attend, which he declined because Sam Larry organized the show. He lived his life in fear because of these two people. He said Naira collected all the money for the shows he performed because the 3-year contract that he signed with him had not elapsed. You will see him shaking physically anytime he mentioned Naira and Sam Larry. I begged him to allow me speak to them, but he refused. The last time he traveled for a show and he came back, he mentioned that Naira Marley actually attacked him and he reported the case to the police, but they didn't do anything. So this is like a new take on what we know about the NDLEA saga that happened. So according to the mother right now, Mohbad truly was not in the house when the NDLEA initially came to bust the house. It was because of Wunmi and his brother that were living in the Marley's house that made Mohbad come to that scene. So it's quite understandable why the NDLEA has been like denying they ever arrested Mohbad. So moving on to what Primeboy said. Primeboy initially said he fought with Mohbad, but on the interview he had with the police, he said he didn't fight with Mohbad, that it was even Mohbad and Wunmi that were arguing. But I feel Primeboy was lying because even Mohbad friends confirmed Mohbad had a fight with Primeboy. Everybody pointed their finger towards Primeboy. And in all of this, is Wunmi innocent? Well, for now, I can't say she's innocent and I can't say she's not innocent. But with all what I've heard, the whole issue was revolving around money and properties, and of course, Mohbad having affairs with other girls. And as for Mohbad's father requesting for Liam's placenta, I find that really disturbing. I mean, what would a father use his own grandchild placenta for? Like, it's so weird when I read about that part. And for the part where Mohbad's father was bringing his girlfriend to the house and all of that, I actually believe so, because Mohbad's father said he had been experimenting with different women ever since he like divorced Mohbad's mother. So maybe that was why Mohbad's father was actually doing that, but he was like disappointed when he carried the girl again to the house and the ex-wife was there. So I think that is also something the man is holding against Wunmi, and Wunmi on the other hand also have grudges against this man because of all these things he did, like spoiling her image as well. I would leave this case to you guys to tell me what you think so far. This is every detail you need to know concerning the Mohbad case so far. This is all I've been able to gather concerning the case. And guys, I will do well to update you on the next court hearing on the 15th of November 2023. Once again, I would like to sincerely apologize for the break I took, and I hope this video wasn't too long for you guys. I'll end it right here. It's been your boy Merky Jameson, and I'll see you guys some other time. Peace out.